what's up, YouTube? How's you talks? Back out here in the wood shop. No, I haven't filmed in a while. I know last time I was filming, I was sick. And every day I filmed, I was explaining it. Like, I didn't have a voice. Honestly, my voice has never fully recovered. It's better now. I'm feeling better, but I think I just got over like my third bout of COVID a few weeks ago. Again, I don't know. We were working in the house, and some other in the family had it, and then we came down with it. So, still kind of recovering, still having a little bit of shortness of breath and whatnot, but really been anxious to get back out here and start filming again because I really kind of therapeutic for me, obviously. Really enjoy filming it and kind of just giving out my take on the world and what's going on. So I've been taking some notes, and I got a few topics I want to go over today. We're going to try to do a couple things during the segment too that are a little different, and then I don't know, I'll expand on them, and if they work, great. If they don't, then I'll just stop doing it. But I had some thoughts and some things that I wanted to talk about. First and foremost, probably the thing that's most important to all Americans today is inflation, right? Where are we at inflation? I know that they said that the inflation report dropped again. We're down to like, I don't know what it was, 7.2 or 6.8 or something like that. I know we were up about 9% at our peak. It's dropping really slow. It went up a hell of a lot faster than it's dropping, but that's typical, right? I guess you could always expect that. Gas prices are coming down. Diesel prices are coming down. Lumber's coming down. A lot of that being said, I know that the Federal Reserve wants to take credit, Jerome Powell, for raising the interest rates, and woohoo, we got interest rates again like it's 1991 or 1988 or 89. I think it's interesting. My first house I bought when I was like 20, I don't know how old I was, 23 maybe, 24. My son was just born. We moved in a month after he was born. So he's 21 now. So yeah, I was like probably 25. Bought our first house, and I think we had 9% interest. And I'm pretty sure that what comes around goes around, right? We're back to some mortgage companies are teetering on that 9% interest rate right now, because the Federal Reserve is up around like what, 5.5% or 6%, and they're ready for another. I'm sure they're ready for another hike, because it's all working, right? Interest rates are coming down. They're just bleeding the wealth out of America. That's all they're doing. And now, if you step back from all this inflation and this interest rate and whatnot, what's happening by all this? People still need houses. People still want to buy real estate. People that are in the house flipping business or whatnot still want to do what they're doing. So they're paying these high. I know the average person might not be out looking for a house right now, but a lot of people are still buying houses. A lot of mortgages are still going through. I know there's a lot more supply in the market of houses right now. But, with that said, the prices are starting to come down, which a lot of people like it. They look at it as a good time to buy because the prices are dropping. It's like a meme I saw last week, and I shared it. And it was a meme of like 2021, house costs $600,000, but the interest rate is 2%. So your mortgage on that thing is like $2,400 a month. 2022, house costs $590,000, but the interest rate is 8%. So your monthly payment on it is like $3,500. True. That's what we're living through right now. And who benefits? The banks, right? The Federal Reserve. They're all earning more money they're all earning more interest on their money right now. And we're all paying more for everything. I'm not going to get excited about the inflation, whatever that number coming down to the 6.8%. Bullshit. We've been paying too much for too long. I'd say we're a family of 7 right now. Me, my wife, my 3 kids, and my 2 granddaughters. My two granddaughters are 7 months or 8 months old. We're probably spending $400 or $500 a week on food. Do we need to? No. We could clearly do a better job and save some money, but we don't. It's our prerogative and whatever. I'm not whining about it. I'm just saying we spend a lot more money than we have to. We're spending a lot more money than we should, and a lot more money than we should have to, based on the stuff that we're buying. I made a roast for Christmas, and it was marked at $90 for like a 7-pound roast, for a rib roast. $90. 2 years ago I could have bought 5 roasts for $90. Not rib roasts, but I could have bought at least 2 rib roasts. Now I got it on sale and there was a coupon, so I didn't pay the $90. But it was how it was listed. It was $10.99 a pound, which is the going rate for beef, for rib roasts. Like, it's not out of line, but to think that that's where we are, and the way I see it is this. Right now, the interest rates have been raised, so the banks are raking in cash on their loans. And God help the people out there that because mortgages have been so easy to get for the last few years. How many of these suckers? They're not even suckers. It's unfortunate that this kind of thing even exists. It's like that. It's like mortgage insurance that they make you pay for, so that you can have get a better interest rate. And if you can't afford mortgage insurance, then they have to put you into a special program where you're going to have an adjustable rate mortgage. Look, I've made a lot of bad purchases in my life, a lot of foolish purchases. I bought cars that I couldn't afford in my life. I've had mortgages that I couldn't really afford in my life. I've made some decisions on a whim, and I've always saw it through. If nothing else, that's who we are and what we do. We put in the work, whatever we got to do to make the thing happen. But we've struggled. There's been a lot of times of struggle in our life. I know what it's like to sit across from a car dealer. You know what I mean? And they're trying to sell you, and everybody goes in there with that same idea. I'm not going to go $1 over $425 a month. And you sit there for 2 hours, 3 hours, and they're running the numbers, and they're crunching the numbers, and they come back to you, and they're just like, okay, what we can do is we can get you in this new car, but it's going to be $675 a month. And at that moment, you're supposed to just get up and walk out because you made a commitment to yourself. And you know what? God bless the people who do get up and just walk out, because I'm not one of those people. I sit there and then I try to rationalize myself on, why I deserve the new car, how I'm gonna afford it, am I gonna get a second job, am I gonna, whatever it is I got to do. And more often than not, I've walked out of the dealership with the new car, way over the price tag or the payment that I said I was gonna accept. And knock on wood, it's pretty much always worked out for me. So, but this inflation, what really was this inflationary period? You go to the stores right now, everything's overpriced. Every single thing. There's not one thing. I think my wife said she paid, for 3 dozen eggs the other day, we paid $11, unless you're buying something on sale. Okay, yeah, Turkey Hill is $2.99 a pound or $2.99 a container at ShopRite this week, and so yeah, we'll buy that. And but in general, beef is up, pork is up, all meats are up, all produces are up, all breads are up, flour is up, sugar is up, chips are up. A lot of chips haven't changed in price, but the bags have gone from 11 ounces down to 8 ounces. The same size bag, just less chips in the bag. It's called shrinkflation, I guess they call that, right? What's it mean? It means that all these companies, all these big major corporations that produce all this and supply us all the food, which, if you look at it, there's only like seven or eight food corporations in the world, or, at least in our country, who handle almost everything. Like if you look at Kraft, Heinz, blah, 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 and you go through what they own, You know, they're such conglomerates. They've got us by the balls. They've got America by the balls. And they got lobbyists, right? You ever think ketchup needs a lobbyist, honestly? You think ketchup needs a lobbyist in Washington trying to get people to pass laws, you know, in their favor? They have one. You know, it's fucking amazing. But what are they doing? I know they're going to sell you on the idea that it costs more to ship their stuff, and labor's been hard to, people have been hard to find help, and we're paying a lot more overtime, and we're this and we're that, and you know what? Bullshit. They're all just making more money. They've all been making more money this entire time. It's like this. We gave $100 billion to Ukraine. Ukraine turned around and gave kickbacks to all the politicians who have been in support of this war for them, right? Because we're the reason that they won't negotiate a peace deal. Us and England basically over there telling them, no peace deal. You know, keep this thing going. We'll just keep supplying you with supplies and arms and whatnot, right? That's what we're in. And we got these $100 billion deals with Ukraine. So you know that like all of our weapons manufacturers are all making money hand over fist now. They're just producing. You know what I mean? They're taking the supplies off the market and they're just making missiles and tanks and jets and you name it, they're building it right now. And we're doing whatever we can do. Remember? Saudi Arabia was going to be a pariah? Nah, hell with that. We're going to sign a $6 billion arms deal or whatever it was, $600 million, I don't know how much it was, $600 million arms deal with Saudi Arabia. But yeah, they're a pariah, right? $100 billion to Ukraine. We'll sell our souls to any country, you know, as long as that country's willing to kick back whatever we need. And you saw it on stage when Biden threatened to pull the $1 billion in aid, the loan guarantee, which, you know, they never had to pay back, if they didn't fire Shokin, or whatever the hell his name was, the guy that was trying to prosecute his Burisma, where his son was stationed. So what do you got? You got dirty-ass politicians, and I mean all of them at this point. I know I used to make videos about why the left or the Democrats were bad, but it's not the left, it's not the Democrats, it's all of them. They're all in bed together. It's as a lot of times I've heard this. It's two wolves in a sheep trying to decide what to have for dinner, right? They're both terrible organizations, both the GOP and the DNC. They don't give a shit about the American people. They don't give a shit about our homeless. They don't give a shit about our veterans. They don't give a shit about the everyday people and inflation and what things are costing. They don't give a shit whether or not you can get to work or can't get to work. They don't give a shit about anything but filling their pockets with money. And they'll do it in any way that they can. If it means insider trading, then that's what they do. If it means cutting deals with foreign governments and foreign countries for kickbacks, then by all means, by any means, that's what they do. And now that's been running out because they're all, you know, their little get-rich-quick schemes have all been paying dividends for them. Now the corporations turned around this year and they went, whoa, it's our turn. It's our turn. And, you know, basically sanctioned by our government, all of these corporations turned around and just started jacking their prices up. You know, our government has the power, if they wanted to stop this. They have the power to set price controls. I know I don't per se want them to do that because I don't think that they should have that much control, but they do have the ability. They do that with other countries every day. They do that, right? Didn't we shut down and probably blew up the Nord Stream pipeline so that Germany couldn't get fuel oil or natural gas, right? We have the power to do that in other countries. We have the power to install our government or our leadership of choice in other countries like we did in Venezuela. We do it all over the world, right? And then we sit on our hands, not us. Our politicians, our elected politicians, the people that are there to represent us, sit on their hands like, oh, woe is me. What are we going to do? My poor constituents are are suffering. I fucking hate when they use that word, constituents, right? They don't give a shit about us. None of them. Not the Nancy Pelosi's, not the Schiffs, not the Schumers, not the McConnells, not the Lindsey Grahams, not the Ted Cruz, none of them. I don't give a shit what they are, whether they're Republicans or, and I'm not, this is probably going to come across as like, this video is going to come across as rough because I'm kind of tearing into them. I'm not a domestic terrorist. I'm not a threat, right? I don't wish any harm on anybody. All I wish is that everybody in America could have, how do you word this? Because I'm not about the equity movement either. I don't think that we should all, I don't think that it's unreasonable to think that we could all start from the same position. But we should all have the same equality of outcome. How's that? I like that. I like equality of outcome. If we all work hard and we're all trying to attain something, we all should be able to attain it, to similar levels. If you work harder than me, then you deserve to be more successful than me. You put in the work, you put in the investment, you put in the time and the energy and the sweat equity and all that, then of course you're going to be more successful than me. You don't deserve it because, just because somebody else is successful, But yeah, that's what I believe about inflation right now. I know I go on rants, but like I call it trickle up economics for the corporations, right? They went after the poorest people in America and they raised the prices because we have to buy food. We need it for survival, right? What choice do we have? Now you got poor people, unfortunate, I don't even mean poor. I mean just poor people, and not economically poor, just the poor people that have to spend their money in dollar stores and buy expired products to try to feed their families. I don't mean that from a financial poorness. I just mean these poor people have to spend their money in these establishments. And that's not even $1 anymore, right? I mean, didn't they raise all the prices at the dollar stores? Everything's $2 or $3 now or whatever the case may be. But, again, the politicians don't care. They don't care about us. And until we all stand up together and make them understand that, and the only way that we're ever going to do this, the only way out of this problem, this situation that we're in as America, because they're going to continue to create problems and divide us and use talking points and propaganda to divide us, to keep us at each other's throats, because the last thing they want is for us to come together as one powerful force and tell them to get the fuck out of government, get the fuck out of Washington. The thing that we got to do as people and as voters is, and if we could do nothing else, would be institute term limits for them, for everybody in the Senate, everybody in the House, and then take the media and the social media out of the elections, or we're never, ever going to see another free and fair election again. Because, this is one of the new bits that I was going to do, or the thing that I wanted to talk about. I call it the daily distraction. What do we got in the news today as our daily distraction? Twitter files, right? That's what everybody's focused on right now. And how about the fall from grace that Elon Musk had? He went from being the golden boy electric car maker, doing all the right things and saying all the right things for the last decade, to in 1 month after buying Twitter, the entire government hates his guts, and especially the left, because he's exposing a lot of their corruption and the way that the FBI is involved with trying to censor people, and the First Amendment and freedom of speech and all that shit as well. But so that's our daily distraction, though, is the Twitter files, right? Second daily distraction, death toll from the snowstorm. Now, I don't want to be insensitive, I know I've said this before on another broadcast or another thing that we've done, but if you will for a second, just understand this or hear this out. I don't think that we as either a species or whatever you want to consider as the conscious level that we have now. I don't believe that we are really ready for the type of the type of disclosure or the type of when everything's done out in the open and everything's available to the public for everyone else to see. Now, the government does a really good job of hiding what they want to hide, right? We saw that last week with the JFK files. 60 years later, and nobody's even alive that was involved, and they still can't release the information because it implicates the CIA, and the CIA was involved. That's fine. That's not freedom of speech. That's the government. Again, the government, when it wants to control something, controls it, right? Can they lower the price of eggs? Fuck no, right? Can they make sure that farms have fertilizer? No. Can they make sure that the farms have added? Can they make sure? Could they open gas leases and oil leases so that we could lower the price and become energy independent in our own country, so that inflation didn't get to the level it did and the gas prices didn't go up? No. They can't do any of that, But can they? But can they regulate another country? Yeah. Can they sell arms and put a leader into another country? Of course they can. Whatever they feel like doing, But transparency, that was the word. I don't know that we're actually mature enough and ready to handle the amount of transparency that's involved in the world. And and every news program right now is just talking about this catastrophic once in 150 year snowstorm, a bomba cyclone or whatever the hell they call it. 60 people have perished. That's terrible. It really is. I feel bad for the families and for all the people who died. You know what I mean? I don't know, people are just stupid and they just were like, no, I'm going to live my life. I'm going to go out in this, and they froze to death in their cars. That's wild, but that's on them. You know what I mean? I don't know if that's a government problem. I don't know if local governments just stepped in, declared a state of emergency, said you can't leave your house. Where were the police? Were they defunded? Are there just not enough people to enforce people to stay in their homes during a bomba cyclone? I don't really know. I don't know the ins and outs of it. But I know that the news media has a story now, and that's what they're talking about, because they don't want you to look at the other things happening in the world. They don't want you talking about the $100 billion, this $1.7 trillion omnibus that they just passed last week with another $45 billion earmarked for Ukraine, right? They don't want you talking about Nancy Pelosi's getting a fucking library, whatever. Part of the bill, and part of that bill is her getting a building of some sort, And then the other thing they want us to talk about is, Title 42, that's the big one, right? Title 42, is it going to stay in place? Should it stay in place? Are we just going to let 2 million more or 3 million more immigrants, illegal immigrants in, just walk across the border and not be able to process them and let them carry in fentanyl and whatnot, that's their talking point. That's what they're going to talk about, is Title 42, how it's racist, how it's unethical, that we shouldn't be able to keep, these people out of there. Meanwhile, the number one cause of death of people between the ages of 16 and 30 is fentanyl overdose. Even in my own town right here, somebody just died recently of a fentanyl overdose, and they weren't even buying heroin. They were buying cocaine, and it was laced with fentanyl, and now they're dead. Watch the news, man. People are dying. People are dying left and right, and it's tragic, and it's terrible. And, there was a drug bust 3 weeks ago, a month ago, and the bust was wherever it was. I think it was in New York, but could be wrong. I just know that they said that there was enough fentanyl seized to kill every man, woman, and child in America. That's 350 million people could have gotten wiped out from what this one entity had. And that's not all of it. Clearly, that's just one person. That's one bad actor. And that's what he had. I almost think that that there's a purpose for this. And I don't know, I'm a conspiracy theorist by nature, but I'm thinking to myself, if I was a bad actor and another country, and I wanted to just take over, they're always talking about an EMP, right? An EMP would how bad a electromagnetic pulse would be if it went off in the atmosphere, and it would kill our power grid and fry all of our electronics. And of course that can happen. But like, what if you took that same satellite, and that satellite had like, just say like 2 tons of fentanyl on it, and you blew that up over the country, and that shit just fell down over the planes, right? I don't mean the planes flying. I just mean like, the general public at large. What if you detonated a bomb over a city that was just filled with a ton of fentanyl, right? I mean, couldn't that just wipe everybody out? You saw that cop in, I think it was LA, who she just got too close to that bag and breathed, and she overdosed, and they had to give her 3 doses of Narcan to bring her back. That's how powerful this shit is. It's dangerous. But you ain't gonna see any of our politicians, who have the power to make change and do things, talk about the crisis, talk about fixing this. I'm fed up. Honestly, I'm fed up. And I guess I'm gonna end this here. I got a lot of other notes. Do it for tomorrow's video. But, if I can't say anything else, term limits. Let's get together and let's create term limits for all the politicians. Let's get some like normal people in office. Let's get some firemen. Let's get some EMT workers. Let's get a few nurses in there. Let's get a few school teachers in there, right? Let's get rid of all the lawyers and politicians and lifetime politicians that are making all the rules for everybody and going to these Bilderberg meetings and Davos meetings and blah, 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 making decisions for all the people on the planet, Let's get some normal people, normal everyday people that aren't rich, that aren't wealthy, you know what I mean? Commoners, if you will. Or, as Nancy Pelosi likes to call us, I'll go over that tomorrow night. Let's just get some common people in office, And I'm not talking about Fetterman either. He might be a good dude, but he can't function. Can he really do this job? I doubt it. But time will tell. All right, until next time. Thanks, guys.